Daylight deprivation is not the only difference between mining and other industries. A coal mine evokes a single color. Yet even mining statistics are more colorful than those of others. Statistics in other industries have headings like year, production amount, export, cost per worker, etc. Mining stats include interesting entries like number of deaths per million ton, annual increase, decrease of number of deaths, number of injured, etc. In China, every year, 2,000 to 3,000 miners still die in accidents. Every single week in 2004, an accident with at least 10 casualties occurred. The free market works thus. The miner is free to go down in the pit or not. If you don't, another who will can be found. With a prayer or a curse on his lips, the miner goes down. But before that, he bids farewell to those he loves, because as it says in the song, once you are in the ground, there is no way to say goodbye.
'Cause when you're underground, there's no way to say goodbye. There's no way to say goodbye.
Maden ocağının dibinde hava yok, ışık yok. Maden ocağının dibinde, maden ocağının dibinde besin yok, karın yok. Maden ocağının dibinde, maden ocağının dibinde oğlan bile yok, oğlan bile yok, oğlan bile yok. Maden ocağının dibinde, maden ocağının dibinde bir sen varsın, bir sen varsın, bir sen varsın direne. Maden ocağının dibinde, maden ocağının dibinde ışık yok, hava yok.
What does the miner do at the bottom of the pit? The answer is simple for us. He works. The bottom is not a place where you can have a break anytime or get some fresh air for 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes hours simply to get to the scene.
Oğlan bile yok, oğlan bile yok, oğlan bile yok. Maden ocağının dibinde.
7 levels down, the miner sweats, wipes his sweat, drinks water, swallows coal dust, eats, worries, gets bored, daydreams, gets angry, jokes. In short, he lives.
Maden ocağının dibinde.
And falls sick. In the US in the 21st century, around 4,000 miners every year get miner's disease. For China, the rising star of the new millennium, it's 10,000 annually. From the 1920s to the 1970s in France, the rate of workers continuing to work with black lung increased. Miner's disease destroys the lungs and eventually kills. Miners afflicted with the disease continue to work. If they are lucky, they retire and then die. In any given country, the affliction rate is 10% or more. A miner working the day shift sees daylight every few months for an hour or two a day. An increase in per capita coal production indicates the country's development. Just when an economy is developing, a roar erupts from the deep in the pit. Then, since there is no sky, the earth is turned upside down. A sinister enemy, methane gas, lurks in badly ventilated corners. A more obvious enemy is coal dust. As the miner works, the enemy grows, accumulates. Even with a small explosion anywhere in the mine, the coal dust creates a chain reaction and increases its impact. When coal dust barges in to magnify the disaster, an immense amount of carbon monoxide is produced. Coal dust is not fully burned. It forms clouds and it prevents ventilation as well. And carbon monoxide spreads to every corner of the mine, poisoning workers. An explosion in the Mike mine in Japan in 1963 initially killed 20 workers, but 438 others later died from carbon monoxide poisoning. 1,197 out of the 1,403 workers either died or were poisoned. Folk singer Ashok Mazuni Sharif describes this in brief. Miners die en masse.
Toplu ölür madenciler, dile kolay kuyu dibi, salınır gezer sahibi, bin senelik maden gibi, fosil olur madenciler.
Rescue efforts in the Spring Hill, Nova Scotia mine disaster ended with 26 men still trapped when the shaft was ordered sealed off to prevent a second coal gas explosion that menaced the entire town.
In the town of Spring Hill, Nova Scotia, down in the dark of the Cumberland mine, there's blood on the coal and the miners lie in roads that never seen sun nor sky, roads that never saw sun nor sky. Town of Spring Hill, you don't sleep easy. Often the earth will tremble and roll. When the earth is restless, miners die. But bone and blood is the price of coal. Bone and blood is the price of coal. Spring Hill, Nova Scotia, laid in the year of 88. Well, the day still comes and the sun still shines, but it's dark as a grave in the Cumberland mine. It's dark as a grave in the Cumberland mine.
This newsreel is from the 1956 accident in Nova Scotia, Canada, where 39 workers died. In the same region, 350 workers died in 1873, and 125 workers died in the same mine in 1891. In 1958, 2 years after this reel, 74 died at the same mine, and in 1992, 26 miners died in the region. A year before the miners' families in this film, wives and children of the 55 miners who died in the Gelik pit in Turkey were reduced to tears. And a year before that, so were those of the 13 victims at the İncir Harmanı mine in Kozlu. This was only 7 years after 53 people lost their lives in the same mine, and 13 years before the accident where 25 died. 40 miners were killed in this mine in accidents in 1968, 1972, 73, and 1974. So, these were in the past, you say. Fine. In February 2010, 13 miners died in Balıkesir, and there were 3 previous explosions where 18 workers lost their lives. As for the mine,
often the earth will tremble and roll. When the earth is restless, miners die. Price of coal, bone and blood is the price of coal, bone and blood is the price of coal. Thank you.
Even more tragic. An old lady who admits to her age is given a birthday party.
Look in the newsreel for the week in 1956. The mining accident is followed by the birthday of the Statue of Liberty. Well, everyone has to celebrate the age of liberty.
Anniversary of the Statue of Liberty, long a symbol of hope and freedom.
The poet Ceyhun Atıf Kansu writes, "Mother, siblings, child, they left and came. They went 140 meters below. A roar is heard and helpless I am. None got out. There were 48 of them." That's how it is. Miners die en masse. When they die, the free market and progress suffer a temporary blip. Business stops. The remaining are divided into two, the wounded and others. The wounded are harmless. The others are overcome with a dangerous silence. They freeze. Just in case they are not frozen enough, soldiers stand guard. The city fathers and state officials grieve at the funerals of miners. The crowd, whose pain and anger can at any moment turn into rebellion, is, as crowds are, greater in number. Knowing that the military may have to be called in against widows and orphans hurts the sensibilities of the officials. And those who the miners leave behind will cry and carry on working. This is how the free market operates. They will work and they will die untimely deaths, if not in an accident, because of the coal dust in their lungs. Here is how the poet Meli Cevdet Anday describes our level of progress enabling big city middle-class girls to wander around in their flats and t-shirts, even on the coldest days of winter. In the deep, where hues of blue dance, where even despair no longer has meaning, beneath an anchor, alone like the fin of a small fish, buried in sand or hooked on a rock, beneath an anchor waiting for its ship lies soil, and further down, the mine. Under the mine that just collapsed, beneath the roof that crumbled after the lamp went out, and under the plank holding up the wall, the wounded miner was alone. The dark had taken his eyes, but he was still conscious. A small sun, the smallest sun in the world, like childhood, like thoughtless birds. Nearby the ship weighs anchor, making great noise, and above, the sea was beneath the sky afar, the clouds, the seagulls, and the sea. This suits this kind of progress. The ad agency of General Electric takes 16 tons, a song written for miners, and feels no shame.
I was born one morning when the sun didn't shine. I picked up my shovel and I walked to the mine. I loaded 16 tons of number 9 coal, and the straw boss said, well, to bless my soul, you load 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. You load 16 tons.
Imagine if the 250-year supply of energy were right here at home. Now, thanks to emissions-reducing technology from GE Energy,
some people say man is made out of mud. A poor man's made out of muscle and blood. Muscle and blood and skin and bones. A mind that's weak and a back that's strong. I was born one morning when the sun didn't shine. I picked up my shovel and walked to the mine. Rolled the 16 tons of number 9 coal, and the store boss said, well, bless my soul. I was born one morning, it was drizzling rain, fighting and trouble on my middle name. I was raised in the canebrake by an old man the line. Keep the right on, woman, make me walk the line. You load 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. If you see me coming, better step aside. A lot of men didn't and a lot of men died. One fist of iron, the other of steel. If the right don't get you, then the left one will. You load 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older company store. You load 16 tons, what do you get? And now to be older and deeper in debt. See, don't you come because I can go. I'm sold to the company store. You load 16 tons, what do you get? And now to be older and deeper in debt. See, don't you come because I can go. I'm sold to the company store. You load 16 tons, what do you get?